Africa Prime, brought to you by Jamison's Select Reserve.
Hello everybody, welcome to Africa Prime. I'm Larry Madowo. My guest today is a very accomplished business leader. She has 14 years experience in media and entertainment law. She speaks on such things as love and law, two very conflicting things if you might ask. But she also has got a very personal journey which is worth talking about. She has climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, right next to my home country of Kenya, and she has run the New York Marathon. Zama Mkosi, the CEO of the National Video and Film Foundation. Many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
How did you get here? That's a very fascinating CV.
It really is. It's quite colorful,
Right.
And it's been an exciting journey all the way. And how I ended up here, in fact, is having started, as you said, in the media and entertainment industry over 14 years ago. Right. Landed into the film industry completely by chance. Yes. I was just a straightforward lawyer, but I could see that, you know what, I'm sure there's more to law than simply, going to court and getting people acquitted for murder and all of that. Right. But I think starting off as a lawyer practicing in the industry, eventually moving into the Industrial Development Corporation, which is a financing institution of films and movies and other media projects in South Africa. I spent quite a bit of time there. And then following that, I also had a stint as an executive producer and eventually found my way at the National Film and Video Foundation.
We'll get to all the journey in a bit, but how did you start off as a lawyer? What were you doing back then when you started practicing?
Well, back then, coming from a family of a lawyer, my father is a Supreme Court judge. Right. So it was almost inevitable that somehow the daughter that wanted the most favors had to do law.
Exactly.
So
to be able to be on your dad's good side.
Absolutely. And I found my way doing law at varsity. And
yes.
Before I knew it, I was doing articles. I was practicing in Durban. And that's where I started off in articles. I was actually practicing in maritime law. Yes. So my specialty was initially maritime law, and that's where I started off until I got exposed to the world of intellectual property. Yes. When I got an opportunity to train overseas in various countries on intellectual property. And when I came back, Durban was too small.
So you moved into a law firm that deals a lot with media and entertainment law, and it's a fascinating industry.
It really is fascinating because initially most people will see it as just pure entertainment. Yes. But I think having come into it from a legal point of view and now, more, and then moving into more of a business point of view working with a finance institution, now at a developmental point of view, yes. That is actually an exciting way of looking at film industry from various perspectives. What
typically do you do for creative works? We all just imagine these actors and actresses turn up on stage and entertainers, but there's a legal kind of advice they need.
I found that actually that was the main challenge practicing as a media and entertainment lawyer, because right. Most of the people, even in the industry themselves, did not even see the need of a legal attorney, unfortunately, which is different from, in countries like the United States, yes. Where, lawyers are it. But yeah, most people, like to save money wherever they can, and they do not find it useful, but which was quite unfortunate. But those that we actually did represent, you could actually see, because there was longevity, there was sustainability, there was more of a business focus in how they applied their trade as actors, because they were more focused on the business side of things, and you find that they were successful for much longer.
The number of films you've worked on or have been senior legal advisor on are huge, one of which is my favorite African film, Tsotsi. How was that like?
Yes, that was so groundbreaking. Coming from a law firm, just working as a lawyer, and then walking to an institution like IDC, yes. Which was charged with really developing the industry and putting money into it, and being thrown into groundbreaking projects like Tsotsi, yes. Like Hotel Rwanda, and a couple even before. We had Drum, we had Red Dust. Yes. There were all these projects that were actually groundbreaking in the film industry of South Africa, and to work with international partners and learn how to structure film projects in a way that was suitable for partners from around the world. And hey, if you end up winning the Oscar.
Exactly, because Tsotsi did win an Oscar award.
It did, and it's amazing how you can't imagine this happening when you are in the grind and you're yes. negotiating day and night. But actually, when it happens, you're like, we're glad we worked hard on that project, because it showed at the end.
And it was a great inspiration for African filmmakers across the continent. And that leads me to what you do now at NFVF. Would you see yourselves as what your role is in the South African film and video industry?
I mean, the National Film and Video Foundation really is at the epitome of what the film industry is about and is going. It is actually an institution that has been established by government to be the leader in terms of the development of the film industry. And fantastic work has already been done over the past, 10, I think it's just over 10 years that the institution has been in place. And it's done fantastically in terms of establishing all the groundwork and the foundation that needs to be placed in terms of the law and the policies that need to be in place for the film industry to thrive. Because our main mandate is to make sure that we equitably develop and grow the film industry.
And since 2006, the South African government even identified Creative Works film being one of them as an economic contributor.
Oh yes, and that is what was very exciting,
Yes.
Working in the film industry right now, that, we see ourselves as more than just pure entertainers, but actually we are contributors into the economic development and thereby the social upliftment of our country and of people that work within the creative industries. It's not just a hobby, but actually it's something that people can make a decent living out of. Still a long way to go, but I just believe that approach from government itself has indeed even given confidence, to the creative workers out there that, you are being taken seriously.
How is the foundation structured and what is your role like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, as the CEO of the foundation, I mean, it's an institution that's got quite a big mandate to fill. But we are, in terms of size and, staff complement, we're not that big, yes. Even though our mandate, I think justifies that actually we should be triple the size that we are. But I've got quite a passionate team.
How many
we have about 28 people in the office,
right.
and people, most of whom have been working in this industry for quite a long time. And more importantly, people that are passionate about the industry. And so I find my work that much easier because I work with people that connect with the subject matter and they're passionate about the development of the subject matter. Yes. And my role is really to provide that leadership, to provide that strategic direction, to provide, that influence, that motivation that they need in order to make sure that they're on track and we're going in the right direction that will eventually positively impact on the film industry at the end of the day.
For the kind of brief you have at the NFVF, it looks like something that needs a lot of money. I think your budgetary allocation is just around 110 million rand.
Oh yes,
is that sufficient?
It is not sufficient, but it's come a long way. I mean, it's only, I think, in the last year that we've had that increase, which we're very grateful for from yes. Treasury. Which once again, it's a sign of acknowledgement from government that this is an industry that they are taking quite seriously. We obviously could do with a whole lot more, but right now the kind of programs that I have on the pipeline as to how we're going to maximize even the 100 million that we have, I think we're going to see ourselves actually doing a lot more that people are going to wonder that, oh, you only have 100.
Exactly,
yeah.
Yes. You're talking about taking cinema to the masses, which appears like a very lofty dream that might not even be something achievable. What is that all about?
That, I think, for me, is about the main bottleneck in the film industry at the moment, that yes. you can make how many other films you choose, but if ultimately your distribution network is not there, yes. if ultimately the platforms that you need in order to exhibit the films that you are making, if those are not there, you'll find that you will always be having a limitation in terms of the market, and it's a marketplace.
Yes.
Cinemas and and exhibition platforms are basically a marketplace where the creative work can be sold, and therefore it's something that's very close to my heart, that we've got to find a way of taking cinema to the people, because we know the challenges at the moment is that we only have very few cinemas. I mean, few, you may think 750 is a lot,
exactly,
but actually yes. it isn't in a country of just close to 50 million people, particularly looking at where those cinemas are located, and they are not located in places where the majority of South Africans are.
So you're saying the 750 cinemas are located in around 125 cinema halls, I would imagine,
yeah.
Primarily in the affluent areas where,
yep.
so it's not getting to the masses in the townships and in the rest of the country?
Yes, and so the type of content that we would like to promote for local audiences, yes. you'll find that it does not find the local audiences because they are not where the cinemas are.
But that goes to the question of there's a whole business value chain around cinema, which from the point the creative works, producers even, are just one aspect of it. Do you think that entire business value chain exists?
I think it does,
Yes.
but certainly, you know, and it's something that it's also very close to my heart, you know, as one of my missions during my tenure, to make sure that we strengthen that value chain, we strengthen the business side of that value chain, and not just leave it at the creative side of things, but also look at what models we have to put out there to make it attractive, you know, from an economic point of view, as to why people should participate in this industry. And so I think it's there, but it has a long way to go.
A film is a very labor-intensive undertaking. If it is done right and that whole value chain you talk about exists, the potential for creating employment is huge, isn't it?
It is really, really amazing. And I mean, at the moment, even the numbers that we're seeing, even though we are even working on doing a baseline study that will once and for all, you know, be the authority, you know, when it comes to this. But the figures that we have based on the projects that are funded through us, or the projects that are funded through, you know, other government institutions, you find that actually we have over 30,000 jobs being created per annum, you know, from film. So it's got great potential.
What is the size of this industry, the film and TV business in South Africa?
I think at last count in 2011, I think we were looking at it contributing around 7 billion, somewhere there. So it is a figure, though, that I believe that it perhaps would be different if we were to focus and have more studies that are much more accurate, because at this stage my sense is, exactly because it's only been recent that it's been acknowledged as a contributor to the economy, and you'll find that the research as well has not been as in-depth, as accurate as perhaps you'll find in other industries.
All right, stay with us, Zama, because when we come back we're going to find out if there is a market for locally produced film and video content in South Africa, and how to take this industry forward here on Africa Prime.